I'm all the time and all I got is 4 minutes. 4 minutes, hey. I'm all the time and all I got is 4 minutes. 4 minutes, hey.
Good morning. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Fun with HR.
How you doing this morning, Rosandra?
Awesome. I am wearing a tiara, which is always awesome.
Of course, that just has to mean Marie Davis is in studio.
That's right.
But Marie bought some really cool stuff.
Well, we're also heading into a very, very important week.
We are.
Yes, there's Fat Tuesday, and then you know what Wednesday is.
It's
the day after Fat Tuesday.
After Fat Tuesday.
Yes. No.
What is Wednesday?
It's Ash Wednesday.
Ash Wednesday, that's right.
Yes. But that just means that there's lots of celebration, lots of stuff to do.
Well, we got to thank Marie for bringing us in some Mardi Gras beads from New Orleans. And we didn't have to do anything to get them. I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, I know.
Because nobody wants to see that on me.
It's PG here all the way.
Awesome.
Especially because we're on Facebook Live. So if you want to check us out, kind of go there.
Exactly. So, ought to run.
Yes.
We made ground, and then Ashley's team added some people, so we're still behind Ashley's team.
So I had a meeting with her, and she said, I'm going to beat you one way or the other. And I said, Ashley, this is for the kids. So she says, you're right. I want you to tell everybody that when I ask, don't join my team, join your team. And I said, okay, I will make sure to do that.
Okay.
So you now heard it here first. You need to join Fun with HR because Ashley wants you to.
Exactly. But today we're going to do our second raffle prize drawing. For those of you that don't know, if you join the Fun with HR team, every other week we're going to do a raffle for a Frenchie's swag bag or gift card, depends on what we have.
Yes.
And we're going to do that this morning live on the air because we have lots of witnesses to verify that this is a legitimate
You
drawing.
mean I don't sit there and hit the button until my name comes up?
No. You can't do that. So anyway, let's spin the wheel.
Spinning.
And let's see who our lucky winner today is.
Where it stops, no one knows.
This is fascinating, Rita. Go, wheel, go. Oh,
Lisa Morris.
So close to Rosandra. It
I
is
know.
Lisa Morris. Congratulations, Lisa.
Well,
and we will
definitely
get
let
in
her
touch
know.
with you,
Yes. Congratulations.
So, now that excitement's out of the way,
That was exciting.
let's talk about some HR stuff. What was
holy
going
cow.
on this week?
So this week, I got notification that a work comp claim that I was just working on last week, it opened last week, was denied.
Oh, this is the one we talked about over the air where somebody hit the wall and broke their hand.
Right. So the work comp insurance company let the employee know that the fact that they hurt themselves was not in the course of their normal job, and therefore it didn't classify as a work comp injury. So that was very interesting. I'm very, very proud of the fact that I got all that done in 1 week. Normally that takes a little bit longer, but that means my client absolutely heard me when I say document from the get-go. So we had plenty of documentation. We had plenty of witness statements. We had everything ready to go. So when something did happen, it wasn't at all hard to prove that this wasn't an accident but a self-inflicted situation. So that was awesome.
So note to employers, make sure none of your job descriptions have hitting the wall as
On
part
the
of
job
your job
description. Yeah, that's what I got out of it.
And employees, if you don't see hitting the wall on your job description, don't do it.
That's not going to be good.
No.
So that was good. And then, we had a lot of interviewing and we had a lot of onboarding. And yes, unfortunately, we also had a few terminations. Tuesday was hard. It was Termination Tuesday. And that was kind of the week.
That was a full week, though. I don't know where it all went.
Yeah, considering that in the midst of that, we added handbooks and we did all kinds of stuff, a safety program. It was, I don't know why I keep calling my office home, but after hearing what we did in just 1 week, I kind of get it.
But now that the hard week's over, it's the fun stuff now.
Well, yes,
'Cause
I
we're
get to
here
do it
with-
all over again.
But we're here this morning on Fun with HR.
That's right.
So this is fun.
That is right. This is absolutely fun. We have some of the most amazing people joining us. And I say that because, in essence, we are definitely going to have fun today.
We are, because we have two of our most favorite people in the studio at
Just
the
two?
same time. Three. You're right. We have
Come
three.
on. You can't. Now they're going to wonder which one's the one that is not
That's
the
right.
favorite.
Which one's the one that's not the favorite? They're all our favorites.
Wow, Jeff. That's okay.
I
That was
just-
very un-HR, but I still appreciate you doing it.
Okay, let's just say it the way it is. We only have people in here that we like. So.
Of course, of course.
Because this is our show and it's fun. So anyway, we have with us today Marie Davis from Landegger Verano and Davis.
Yes.
Talk about HR, and there were some very interesting HR things, employment law things going on this week. And we also have Issac Hernandez from Atharva Workforce. But we're going to start our show today with Bob Davis from the Loan Depot, because I think it's very appropriate that Bob's here, because I don't follow the mortgage market, but I'm assuming, like everything else, it was pretty crazy this week. Would I be wrong, Bob?
No, you're absolutely correct, and I am your favorite. Just if there's any questions or clarifications required.
He's claiming he's not the one.
Everybody's
No, I'm not. I'm not the one until I'm.
everybody's going to come in and say, I am the favorite.
I would hope so.
And you would all be
Yes.
right.
But yeah, since the week after Christmas, the real estate finance market has changed so dramatically that consumers didn't even know until probably the second week of January. And then for another 10, 12 days, they didn't really want to believe it. And the realtors were right there with them. A professional realtor, which will be one of the key points of what we're going to discuss today. A professional realtor is your best friend, quarterback, absolutely a person you need to have on your team to rock through all this stuff.
Now, we were talking this week, and you were talking about being a contrarian, and you wouldn't really get into it. Why is it good to be a contrarian, Bob?
Well, first of all, just for compliance purposes, because my compliance department listens to this show every Saturday, and I hope they're not listening right now. My license number is 249185. And the reason I say that is twofold. Number one, I'm required by law to do that. Secondly, if you're not doing business with someone who is licensed to do what they do, whether it's repair your water heater or do your loan or your real estate business, fix that. That's up to you as a consumer. Contrarian. Let's define what a contrarian is. You are going against the crowd. Now, most middle school kids think they're contrarians. They just don't know the word. But the fact remains is, in the real estate market today, today's the February 25th. I am the favored one, right?
And naturally.
Of course.
What's the 26th?
Bob.
Like I said, the 26th. I'm only a day off. Come on, guys.
You were the favorite yesterday, too, though.
Okay, thank you. Buying a home right now, 2/3 of the people that live in Ventura County that want to buy a home, I don't know who they are, say they can't afford to buy a home. Why is that? Well, interest rates went up. You know what? The increase in interest rates did not affect the monthly payments so much that a majority of people can't now buy a home. It's perception. So when everybody's deciding to not buy because they simply can't, then just go back and stay broke. I said it, stay broke, and realize that your rent's going to go up another 8 to 12% in the next year. How do you plan for your wealth? So contrarian when it comes to the real estate market is recognize what everybody else is doing and attempt to do something different.
So that's kind of like when the stock market is falling and everybody's bailing out. You're the one in there buying up everything everybody's dumping.
It was early this week, was a good time to buy stocks. I'm not an investment advisor, so I won't tell you what I did or didn't do, but I am really happy with the last 2 days.
I'll bet you are, because we did have a slight recovery in the market. So if you're out there buying, it probably was a good thing for you. So what's new in Ventura County real estate today?
Well, right now today, well actually at noon yesterday, there were 112 homes for sale in the median price range, which is $700,000 to $1.1 million. Now you might think, median? Are you kidding me? Wake up, realize that you're in 2022. This is just the way it is, guys. It's Ventura County. This is not somewhere in Nebraska. Nothing against Nebraska. But what happens is there's 112 homes for sale in Ventura County. Picture that, folks.
The whole county.
In that price range. Which means there is insufficient inventory just for normal buying and selling. People are now beginning to sell their homes, move in with somebody else, or rent back that home for 30, 60 days. They're doing other things to be able to secure their profits when they sell their home. This is where a professional realtor is so important as you plan. No, I'm not a professional realtor. And if you want advice, give me a ring and we'll figure it out. But it's really important to know that because the inventory is even scarcer than it was this time 6 months ago, this is not something that's going to change overnight. So you have to plan how you're going to buy, whether you're first time, if you're moving up, moving down, if you're buying investment property. There are certain strategies that are very simple, very straightforward, and you need to know what they are. And I'll bet you most people on the radio today don't know. So they need to find out.
And the inventory issue that you're talking about in Ventura County, that's been going on for about a decade now, hasn't it?
You know what? In the last 3 years, the inventory has slipped from what is a normal 4 to 6 month inventory down to 2 and 3. We're less than, I think we're 46 days right now.
Wow.
Which numbers, what it really means is we could quintuple. I said quintuple. We could have 560 homes on the market and still not in that price range and still not be in a normal market. We'd still be in a seller's market.
That's kind of frightening to think about. I know I get bombarded every day with emails giving me advice about real estate and mortgages and things like that. And I think I'm smart enough to know, just because it's on the internet, it's not true. But if people want to get good information, where do you recommend they go?
I would say if they have a professional realtor, and the designation is not even in existence, but a professional realtor is somebody that has a minimum of 5 years experience, has absolute integrity and character in their life. I didn't say just in their business, in their life. How do you know that? You have to interview people. It's not your uncle's, brother's, best friend's dog's owner down the street. It's somebody that is really known for what they do well. When it comes to real estate finance, you can always reach out to me because I've been doing this since the late 70s, excuse me. See, I already lied. Oh my gosh. July of 77 is when I started.
So much for integrity.
Yep, there you go. But you can always ask. And one of my favorite phrases is, don't trust me. Because if we're talking about an area that I have no expertise, I'll give you my opinion, but you don't want to trust me. You need to find out that information.
So, again, going back to advertising, you see all the commercials on TV, get a mortgage for whatever the percentage rate is. Are those rates typically the best rates you could get?
If you could get them, yes. To be more specific and non-sarcastic, on my phone, almost every day I see sub 2% APRs. On what? That is totally a lie. Let me restate that. It's a total, complete lie. Now, the overall interest rate market is totally dependent upon the consumer, the property they're buying, and their financial attributes. It can be as much as a 1% difference in interest rate for this customer versus this customer just because of the different attributes. It's really important not to trust anything in media or on the internet. You have to talk to your local realtor, professional realtor, and of course we would love for you to call Bob Davis so we can give you the straight up scoop.
So these ads are kind of like the car ads that you see where they have a car listed for an unbelievable price. Well, they do because they have one at that price. But chances are you go there, that car's gone. But, oh, hey, we got this car. So
That's called a loss leader.
That's kind of what's going on with the interest. Then they advertise something low, knowing 99.9% not going to qualify.
It's not even available product. That's see, advertisements, in fairness to the people and companies that put these up, the advertisement is placed about 3 weeks before it's even run. Consequently, even though but it's so incredibly inappropriate.
So they're using their Ouija board to figure out, oh, this should be about at this point at that time. So
somebody at a big company that starts with an R mentioned that, and they're not the ones that happen to play that kind of stupid game. The lending tree is. What happens, not that I want to call them out or anything, but I just did, when they go out and quote an absolutely incredible, unacceptable, not available rate, they know that about every 1,500 people will say, well, you know what, it doesn't really matter what the rate is, I need to do it anyway. So there's a cost to doing business. Today's point that I want, in reference to your contrarian issue, if it's too good to be true, it probably
is.
Just get the facts. That's all.
And talk to a professional.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned, though, we'd be talking about Mardi Gras. What's that all about?
Well, you know, Marie Davis is going to talk a lot about the real Mardi Gras. Tomorrow we have a real Mardi Gras. What does that mean? At the Tower Club in Oxnard. Our Rotary Club is sponsoring with Turning Point Foundation Mardi Gras from 3 to 7 at the Tower Club. And I would highly encourage anybody that wants a good party, Marie.
She's got the beads.
Well, we'll be giving out a lot more beads, but the point is that it's a fundraiser for our foundation and also for Turning Point Foundation, which does incredibly great work in the local community. Yes, I am prejudiced because I'm on their board as well.
And that's the Rotary Club of Ventura South.
Right, which meets in Oxnard, which is a
in
whole
North
different
Oxnard,
anomaly.
yes.
Yeah.
You're close to the line, but anyway.
Now, we ain't close to the line, dude. We just got moved out because of the Thomas fire.
Yeah, exactly. The Mardi Gras party that you guys are having is really a good fundraiser. We've been there more than a few times. So if you want to go, have some Cajun food, have a great view of the Oxnard Plains.
Get to meet some great people.
Yeah,
You always
some
make
really
friends.
cool people, absolutely. Check that out because it's a great event.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bob, thank you for coming on today.
Thanks for having me today. I want to make sure that I want to say one more thing,
Sure.
and that is local vendors are where you want to go when you're in the real estate, the law, the title, the escrow, and the finance community, because if you meet with people that you can't go to their office and can't ask them a question, chances are you may not get the straight scoop. Have a great day. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Bob, and we'll see you again soon.
Deal.
Fun with HR is brought to you by the HR Firm. If you need any advice on HR matters, give us a call at 805-853-3476, because if you have employees, you have issues. Thank you.
The HR Firm is the premier human resource consulting firm in Ventura County, specializing in working with small to mid-sized companies. The HR Firm provides a complete suite of offerings to keep your company compliant. The world has changed so much in this last year, and so have all the rules for you as the employee. Are you ready? From handbooks to policies and procedures to workers' compensation claim management, the HR Firm is here to support you with all of your HR needs. They offer a complimentary 1-hour consultation for you as a new client. Check them out on Facebook or Instagram, or email them at info@thehrfirm.com. The HR Firm. If you have employees, you have issues.
This is Bob Davis, Ventura County resident for over 50 years. Loan Depot and I have teamed up to provide fax and mortgage lending experience that gives you satisfaction that you want to share with people you love. 805-658-7435. That's 805-658-7435. Real, honest, and fair mortgage lending. NMLS 249185.
Clean, modern, engaging. Frenchie's is not your typical nail salon. We're better, way better. You'll find a friendly staff, a fun vibe, posh pampering without steep prices, and a super clean, inviting space that gives you all the good feels. To experience this for yourself, call us at 805-200-3883 or email us at venturaca@frenchiesnails.com.
Hey employers, are you tired of spending your valuable time posting jobs on the job boards? Are you tired of looking through resumes to find that one diamond in the rough? Your time is way too valuable, so let the professionals at Atharva Workforce find that diamond in the rough for you. Spend more time on your business and less time looking for those employees. Call Atharva Workforce at 805-826-0033.
Hey, what's going on, Jeff?
Hey. This past Wednesday, we had the Real Men Wear Pink comedy night. And I got to tell you, if you weren't there, you missed a great time.
Oh, the comedians were so funny.
They were awesome. Just loved it. And we did fill the house.
Which was even more amazing.
More amazing. Because the comedians' wages for that evening, they donated to the American Cancer Society. So thank you for everybody that supported. The Real Men Wear Pink, really appreciate that. And you all had a really great time, I know, because I heard you all laughing. So hopefully we're going to be able to do this again. And when we do, make sure that you get your tickets early so you could be a part of it.
Yes, lots of people asking about the booths. And again, those were the first to go. So as with everything, first come, first serve.
Or the booths were cool. I really enjoyed that.
I did too.
A lot of fun.
But guess what? We have Issac Hernandez here with us of Atharva Workforce. And we had already started a bit of a series on interviewing, recruiting, and he kind of gave everybody the what to do if you're looking for a job. And I thought, let's play devil's advocate. Let's ask him about some of the stuff that maybe is still even surprising to him. So welcome, Issac.
Hey, it's good to be back. Am I the favorite?
If you have
You're
to
supposed
ask.
to claim it.
If you have
Own
to
it,
ask.
Issac.
Own it.
Just
All
like
right.
Bob.
I guess I'm the favorite then.
There you go.
No one will ever know. Because if
No.
they all claim it and there's one person that's still, no one will. See what you've started?
I know. I'm so bad.
I know. Issac, though, tell me, one of the things that I said earlier was you've given really good advice as to what it is that people should do when looking for work. Now, at the top of your head, what are the things that they should not do when interviewing?
Well, of course, we can talk about the obvious things, such as being late, not being dressed the part, or not just taking the interview seriously. But something that's often overlooked that I would like to talk about is the first mistake that candidates make when they meet for an interview, and that's they're just clueless about the company.
What's that?
When I say clueless, I mean the applicant is completely unprepared. They don't know anything about the company. They don't research the company or the website, or worse, they confuse the interview for another interview they had scheduled for a completely separate company.
That happens?
That's actually happened to me this week.
Wow.
So if you've done your homework, if you haven't done your homework, how am I supposed to believe that you're the right fit for this position? You can't even tell me what the position does.
Right, because in essence, what you do as a concierge service is you find the person. I mean, you're not really just putting people in to fill the spot. You want somebody that's going to be there with the clients for long term.
Right.
So you're really looking, not just hoping.
Of course, it's part of the concierge service. I'm not filling a body. I'm finding a long-term fit for both the employer and the candidate.
Wow. Now, you mentioned being on time. Now, I think I've said this more than once. When I interview, your interview starts when you get out of your car, because I am watching you get out of your car. I am watching you walk up to the building. I'm watching whether you make the decision to go up the stairs or the elevator, whether you look at the marquee. I mean, I'm watching everything because everything tells me about confidence, about how you're going to approach being employed. That's just me though, because by the time the person walks into the office, they don't even realize that the interview has already begun. And sometimes they walk in and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe, I'm lost and blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking at them thinking, oh dear, right?
Right. It starts, like you said, it starts when they get there.
So tell me though, what does being on time mean?
An interview is the first impression you get of a candidate, right? So if you're late, what does that tell the employer? I feel like it sets the expectation that you're going to be late to work. You haven't even been offered the job yet, and you're already wasting the employer's time.
Oh my goodness. So let me just get this straight, because I know I tell my clients this all the time. Work starts at 8. It doesn't mean you arrive to work at 8. It doesn't mean you arrive to work at 8, go get your coffee, check yourself in the mirror, then go say hello to everyone down the hall, and then eventually get to your workstation at about 8:30. And the reason I say this is because the time between 8 when you clocked in and 8:30 when you actually started working could in fact be considered time theft.
Right.
There was no work done, and yet you got paid for doing all of that, which is not part of your job description, of course.
I just want to interject. You were talking about how when you're doing an in-person interview, that's everything you did.
Mm-hmm.
We're pretty much doing only Zoom interviews now, and what I've been doing lately is watching what time, first off, the applicant logs in. Then while they're in the waiting room, I send them a message saying, hey, we're running a little bit late. Hang in there. We'll get with you in a few minutes.
Right.
But then about 30 seconds later, I'll send them another message going, how you doing? Is everything okay? And I look to see if they reply because, 9 out of 10 people don't reply to those messages.
Because they're
which makes me
freaking out.
think, are they paying attention to what's going on? Are they seeing these messages?
Are they watching TV?
Are they watching TV?
Playing with the dog?
Exactly.
Huh,
So,
interesting. So you said being on time, that's really important.
Mm-hmm.
What else would you advise people not to do?
There's a big one. I advise against any trash talk or bad mouthing of a previous employer. And that's because if a current employee in your interview and asks why you're leaving, be polite, be humble about it. There's plenty of ways to answer that question. Say you want to change in the company. Say, hey, I worked for a big company. I want to work for a small company, or vice versa. Criticizing your current employer is only going to leave a bad and negative impact on the interview. It's not going to help you at all because all it's going to do is the interviewer is going to be like, wow, I wonder if they're going to do that to me.
Right. Well, and the other thing is we also want to make sure that we understand. I know that sometimes leaving employment is not always our idea, the involuntary versus voluntary. But we have to understand that the new employer is really not, and I hope this comes across, they're not going to pay the price for bad employers previously. Like you need to set the, relationship standards. I know I've always said this, that it's like dating in a lot of ways. You don't want to tell the person you've just started dating, hey, by the way, I hate my ex, and this is what I hate my ex about, and blah, 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 blah. Because that kind of makes it so that they wonder, gosh, I don't know if I want to get to know them any better. So it's not just about, you're giving advice, not just about work, but just all around.
Mm-hmm.
Just remember how it affects you. That's a really good one. So what else has happened when you're interviewing someone?
Recently, actually, here's a funny story. I'm glad that you asked. I was on the phone screening the candidate, and he mentioned he applies because he enjoyed sales position and working on a commission. But the thing about the job was it had nothing to do with sales or being on a commission. So I informed him he may have misunderstood the job description, and I went over the job description with him again to clarify that the position wasn't a sales nor a commission job. After he mentioned how excited he would be to consider for the role because he loved being in sales. After that, I immediately stopped him and said, hey, I began to explain how this might not be the job that you're expecting. And he hung up on me. It was odd because if he was upset.
So in the middle of the interview,
yes,
he just hung up on you.
Just hung up on me. So it was an odd experience because there was so much of better ways for him to handle it besides, hey, just hanging up on me.
Wow. I'm sorry. I'm having a little bit trouble comprehending that, because it's one thing to hang up on somebody you don't like, but I mean, this is somebody who didn't have any idea who you were or the fact that you were trying to help them.
Yeah, I was like, I called him trying to help him. Hey, buddy, I'm trying to get you a job, and he hangs up on me.
Wow. Well, that doesn't surprise me, because I know that a lot of people, it's an employee's market, not an employer's. So one of the things that we're coming across is that you interview on, say, Monday, and unless you send an offer letter immediately after, by Tuesday, that person has gone somewhere else because somebody else has swooped them up.
Right.
So I always want to tell people, don't be in a rush, because you don't want to rush, something as big as who you're going to hire. But at the same time, also don't put them through 6 different interviews for a line staff position, because
Right.
again, you have to give them the impression of what it's going to be like to work with you, and they have to also tell you what it's going to be like to work with them. So keep that in mind. Wow, Isaac, you've had an interesting week too.
I have.
That person actually, I think, did Isaac a favor, because he didn't waste Isaac's time by doing an interview that was going to go nowhere.
But I also have to say this. Isaac's clients don't realize that when he puts somebody in front of him, he's gone through 200 to 300 people that potentially could all hang up. And so the only people he puts in front of him are people that have gone through the entire process and are really interested in that. He doesn't make the decision. He still gives options.
Well, I know Isaac's employers that he's recruiting for also don't realize before anybody gets in front of them, Isaac's invested at least an hour and a half of time on that person, on each person, before they get in front of the employers. So
Right.
there's an investment there that Isaac's putting in to make sure he puts the best people in front of the employers possible.
And actually, that's what makes it so important, because who has that time?
I do.
Isaac,
Well, Isaac does, but I'm
I
saying
do.
as an employer, you don't have the time, because you're growing your company, you're seeing clients, you're trying to, stay afloat. COVID has done a number on all of us, but when you do it this way, it makes it so that they can focus on other things. So that's really what you bring to the table.
Right.
So Isaac,
I just want to know, what are some of the positions that you're currently recruiting
Right now,
Oh, you
right
read my
now,
mind.
all right, we're looking for delivery drivers, window washers, back office dental assistant, and actually, if we have somebody in the San Bernardino Rialto area that's listening, we're actually looking for gardeners.
awesome.
Awesome.
These
San
are all
Bernardino,
positions
yeah.
that we can definitely fill, and definitely find the right candidate for the right position.
Absolutely.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah,
Actually?
sure.
For anybody that's right now that's interviewing, I actually have a big tip. This one's actually really important, because for me, it's one thing I look at is the enthusiasm. Excuse me. Like you say yourself, Rosandra, it's a lot like dating. Nobody wants to date someone who isn't enthusiastic about the date. Same thing with employers. If you're not enthusiastic about the interview, what makes you think that the interviewer is going to be interested in you?
Wow. Like attitude, meaning like
yeah.
you definitely, because I know a lot of people will say, I will forego skill set if I could just find the right attitude.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
100%.
Attitude is everything.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Tell me why you think you can do it.
Oh, I love that question. And I think everybody should be prepared to say why they should be picked versus anyone else. That means they've taken some time to think about the position, how they're going to affect the company dynamics, and really it sets expectations all around. Thank you, Isaac.
All right. Thank you guys for having me again.
Isaac, thank you for coming in this morning. Fun with HR is brought to you by the professionals at Atharva Workforce. If you think hiring a professional is expensive, wait until you hire an amateur.
If you don't have an illness and injury prevention program, COVID prevention program, safety program, or emergency action plan, you could have Cal OSHA knocking on your door with a notice of violation and fines. If you need help creating these programs or help refreshing your existing program, contact the HR firm. They can walk you through the safety maze to get your company compliant while helping you keep your employees safe. They even do in-house training. They offer a complimentary 1-hour consultation for new clients. Check them out on Facebook or Instagram, or email them at info@thehrfirm.com. The HR Firm. If you have employees, you have issues.
Mortgage, a crazy method to borrow money. Do you know Bob Davis? He's been in Ventura County since 1967, in the loan business since 1985. Loan Depot and Bob Davis teamed up to provide honest and fair mortgage lending for everyone. Call 805-658-7435. Loan Depot and Bob Davis. Real, honest, and fair mortgage lending. Call 805-658-7435. NMLS 249185.
You're not so typical nail studio. There's a revolution happening in nail care, and you're invited to join in when you visit the Ventura Harbor Village. Just walk into Frenchie's Modern Nail Care Studio and you'll know you're in for something that's beyond your typical medi-pedi experience. Call us at 805-200-3883 or email us at venturaca@frenchiesnails.com to book your next experience.
Finding people to add to your team can be difficult when you don't know where to start. Do you even have a job description? Do you know how much you should be paying them? Do you even know where to find the right people for your team? Let the professionals at Atharva Workforce help you get started and find your next star employee. Spend time on your business, not searching for that new star employee. Call Atharva Workforce at 805-826-0033.
Hey, Rosandra.
Yeah.
You know what's coming on April 24th besides the Auto Run?
No, tell me.
The Ronald McDonald Walk for Kids.
Oh my goodness.
And I heard Coachella in the background.
I know.
You know.
Of course. But we're not going to Coachella.
We're not going to Coachella, but we are going to try to get to the Ronald McDonald Walk for Kids towards the end, if we get done the Auto Run soon enough. But
we're going to be done. And we're going to have shirts.
And we're going to beat Ashley's team.
And we're going to beat Ashley's team. Marie, welcome.
Good morning. And just so you know,
Uh-huh.
I know I'm not your favorite. You know, I know that instead I am your most elite, hand-picked, chosen, select, exclusive #1 guest. I knew that right from the start. Sorry, gentlemen.
Hey, she brings tiaras.
Wow.
You know, that's all I'm saying. Well, Marie, you're going to join our team, right?
Yes, I brought my checkbook. So what do
Awesome.
I need? Yes, at the end of this, I will
Awesome.
write the
Even
check.
better.
Okay.
Even better, because that's going to mean that we're one person closer to our
Ashley,
goal.
yes.
Remember, she wants you to join our team.
She does, because she wants to write that $300 check to Autism Society.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But
Is that the entry fee for everybody?
No, that's $300. No. No.
Well, whatever.
The
Okay.
entry fee actually just went up yesterday, but it's now at $40 a person, I believe. Could be wrong, but please check the website.
The website will tell you.
Yes. And since you're there, you might as well just, click on Join Fun with HR. It's as easy as that.
Autorun.org. Anyway, we're wasting Marie's time here.
I know. Marie, a lot has happened, and you're absolutely right. You're my go-to. And the reason why you're my go-to is because you're so passionate about serving the community, and you're so passionate about being accessible. That's one of the things that I find many attorneys will say, oh, call me. And then you call them and they don't answer the phone. Or they'll answer the phone and they'll get back to you a couple of days later. I mean, not throwing shade on anyone, but you can't say you're accessible and then not be accessible. So tell me, what is going on this week that kind of made your curly hair straight?
Exactly. That's exactly the phrase I used earlier this week,
Behind
actually.
all of the hurricanes.
Yeah, it's this new and improved emergency paid sick leave law that went into effect, which requires employers of 26 or more employees to provide up to 80 hours of paid COVID leave. with no tax deduction, no tax credits. This is 100% coming out of the employer's coffers, up to $5,110. And they can literally take this for any reason. Like, for example, they try to say, oh, there's two banks, right?
I like that. They try to say
They
that.
try to say there's two banks, but really there's not. The first bank is you can take 24 hours of leave because you had a bad reaction to the vaccine. And then you can take 16 hours of leave because your mother or spouse came down with symptoms, or you had symptoms, but you haven't been actually diagnosed yet as having COVID. So that's 40 hours. And then you get a whole nother 40 hours for if you do test positive for COVID, or if your mother tests positive for COVID, or if your child tests positive for COVID. So it's really 80 hours. And I know I've already gotten calls from clients, and I will continue to get calls from clients saying, well, haven't they really used up the first bank and the second bank, and don't they aren't they I can't think of the word, overlapping. And the answer is no. And if you want to be safe, just pay them the 80 hours, because $5,110 is still a heck of a lot cheaper than having that paid sick leave denied and then having a labor commissioner complaint or a lawsuit filed.
Oh, yes. All of those beautiful letters, love, right? The
right.
FEHA, the DOL.
CFRA,
yes.
the EEOC, the DLSC. I know. I love
It's alphabet soup, HR
All
style.
of those acronyms.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
So
But-
we got those calls as well. And actually, we got the calls ahead of time because the news started saying, hey, this is coming at least a week or so before. And so we had people say, well, I hear it's the law now. It's on the news, so you got to pay it up. And I tried to explain, no, not until the 19th. And yes, I know it's retroactive. And you came to mind immediately with one call because someone said they had reached out to one of the big brand payroll companies and had asked them to put in the code so that they could pay, because they currently had somebody that was out. And even though it was retroactive, they wanted to be proactive and just make sure that their employees did not miss a beat. And the big brand basically said, sorry, you have to wait until the 19th when we're going to start to put that in. So you will eventually be able to do this. So the reason I bring this up is there's no, you have to wait. I mean, in essence, once the employee requests that leave at this point, you really have to move forward with it. Is that correct?
That's correct. And also, this is an important point. All the employer has to do is ask for it, because this is something that also our clients are constantly saying, can't I ask for a medical doctor's note? Can't I ask for a positive test? No, you really can't. You just need written or oral request in order to be eligible for the leave. And then you have one payday in order to pay it.
Right.
So, yes, it has to be paid by the very next paycheck.
Which means your payroll companies should have, on a dime, be able to put that code back in, because there was a code just in December for it.
Correct.
So it's not like they were being asked to really move mountains. It was something, again, I'm not in payroll, I'm just in HR, and I think, hey, this is something that I want my clients, because I don't want employees to be upset. Once you upset the employee, then they don't trust you, and they don't trust anything you say, and it spirals down.
Yeah,
So-
and also, remember, you can't rely on your payroll company to be liable for these types of mistakes. And I think that's incredibly important. I hear this all the time. Well, Paychex did it. It's Paychex's fault. Good luck. Okay, no, that is not. All Paychex and ADP are facilitating the ability to write the checks.
Right.
And act as the middleman. They are not liable for anything. It is you as the employer.
Right, which means you really do need to stay on top of them. And I mean, that's one of the things that, Atharva Workforce does offer payroll. And I asked the question last week, how quickly could they have turned? And Tricia said 2 seconds, literally 2 seconds, because she, as concierge for payroll, wants to make sure that the employers don't have somebody to blame. We want to be as amenable to everything. I wanted to let you talk a little bit more about this, because these buckets, I mean, for the first time I've actually seen the term bucket used in explaining. How does this coordinate with already the 24 hours of sick time? Is this in addition to?
It is. Isn't that wonderful, Rosandra?
It is.
Yes. Any other PTO that you've offered your employees, whether it be vacation or the California paid sick leave law, you are not allowed to make them exhaust either of those buckets first. They exhaust the COVID first. And also, by the way, if they've taken time off between January 1 and February 19th for anything that's related to COVID, like the vaccine or having the symptoms or whatever,
go back and pay them.
You have to go back and reimburse those banks. So if they took 40 hours off of vacation in order to cover that time between January 1 and February 19th, you have to give them back those 40 hours.
Funny you should say that, because the big brand that my client called said that it was their policy to have the employee use their sick and vacation time before they used any of the COVID sick time. And I said, no, please don't do that. And we're going to need to reimburse. And
I'm glad that's your policy, but that's not the state of California's policy.
Like, would you like to tell California that? Because I know what they're going to say. We're on a fundraising effort, right?
I know. It's so insane. It really is. And then, like, I know this is a little bit off topic, but, like, now we don't have a mask mandate and we've never had a vaccine, requirement here in Ventura County.
Right.
We have the vaccine requirement, or you have to show your card to go inside a restaurant in LA. Now you don't have to wear a mask, but you still have to show your vaccine card. I went to a national chain restaurant on Wednesday. And not only did I have to show my vaccine card, they made me show an ID, which I think is a bridge too far because they've never done that before. And now bars, restaurants, and wineries it's being enforced that all of their employees are actually vaccinated, fully vaccinated.
Right.
So that's a whole new ballgame. And then,
I know.
So I go to work in Sherman Oaks once in a while. I come back here. I'm like, I don't know. Am I supposed to wear the mask? Do I have to have the card? What am I doing? I didn't know I had to have an ID.
We've
Well,
had a
you
lot
were
of that.
driving, weren't you, Marie?
Well,
So, you would need the ID.
Ouch.
Ms. Lawyer. But
That's
I'll-
not her.
I'll-
That's not her field.
I got
That's
a
not
question
employment.
about the face mask, because there's a real big misconception amongst employers that a face mask is optional for employees. And my interpretation is that OSHA's emergency temporary standards are still in effect until April 14th, which is what binds the employers. So face masks are required at least until the 14th, right?
I agree. And that is the problem, is that we have all of these government agencies offering conflicting information. So OSHA has never had this much power. OSHA is very happy for the last 2 years. They've gotten to make all these rules and regulations, and now there's the Assembly and the Senate getting involved as well. So
Well, but I just want to make sure that everyone understood that the optional wearing of the face mask is not for the employees. It's actually for guests or patrons. At this point, the employees still do need to wear their face mask if we're going to follow what OSHA is saying.
If we're following
and
OSHA.
they have to be non-cloth. They have to be the N95s.
The N95s. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So it's very complicated, very confusing.
Okay, well, so at least I wasn't very confused.
No, you weren't. But we do still get those phone calls. We get the phone calls also. Okay, is it 14 days? Is it 10 days? I mean, that's all changing. But the biggest part is, what does vaccinated mean nowadays? Because some people are saying, well, I only had the first shot. Oh, I had the first and second, but I'm not getting boosted. Oh, well, I didn't have any. I mean, there's all of these variations. I've never been in a world where we interpret to our liking. Like that's not my world. Like my world is more like this is what it is, and this is just what it is. Let's talk about vaccinations, because do you still get those questions? Can I make my company have a vaccination policy and everyone has to follow it?
Yes, and in fact, now that if you're a bar, restaurant, or winery, you have even more reason to say that, this is the state, not me, making you be fully vaccinated. Fully vaccinated means you've had 2 doses of Pfizer or Moderna. You don't have to be boosted yet in order to be considered fully vaccinated.
And I know that goes back and forth, because at one point they said the booster had to be in there, and at other points they're like, yeah, not really, because that's just an addition.
Correct. And then public health agencies, obviously they have to be fully vaccinated. So then you're left with just your private employers that, like sign painting shop,
Right,
for example,
right.
if they've got, what do you do in that situation? And I've been telling my clients, it's really up to them. There's still a risk that someday soon, my crown keeps falling, someday soon there will be a law or a court case that says you actually cannot force your employees to get vaccinated.
Right.
But at the moment, there's no such case in effect. And as long as you allow for disability accommodations and religious accommodations, then I don't see a problem with mandating vaccines. And so, okay, I still refuse to get a vaccine. It's not for a religious reason and it's not for a disability reason. It's just because I don't want to get vaccinated. Then we recommend not termination, but putting them on a leave of absence until they get the vaccine.
Okay, let's go back. Let's go back to wines, bars, and breweries for a second.
Yeah,
Because
that's important to us.
That's important. At least to me, it's important.
Right, we've got the beats.
Yeah, got the beads. I know that there's some of the smaller wineries and breweries that don't have employees, but they use volunteers. Would the volunteers be required to be vaccinated to be able to help?
You keep using this word.
Required? Or
No, volunteers. It's like
There's
there's
no
no
volunteers.
such thing as a volunteer. No, we want to be clear that no, don't tell any. Oh man, do not have volunteers. Okay,
Thank
because
you.
if that volunteer wakes up one day and goes, "I was never a volunteer," you're going to owe them an awful lot of money. Because in order to be a real volunteer, you have to be working for a company like the Rotary Club, and you have or a church, and
But
you
we're
have
not
to.
working. We're giving of our time.
But you can't legally unless it's for like the Rotary Club or a church or something or
A
something of that
nonprofit,
nature.
yes.
California says if you do work, you're not a volunteer.
I have a great business idea. Oh, it just hit me. Let's open
no.
a
Let-
winery that's a nonprofit.
I still wouldn't want you to have volunteers, okay? I don't
Yes.
care. Or at least don't tell me. It's the la. I'll keep my, my
and
ears
just,
shut.
and just so you all know, one of the questions that has popped up is how do you prove religion? Well, generally, the way you prove religion is that for vaccination purposes, that you also need to have your clergy or your religious leader sign off that you are an active member. It's part of the process,
You need to bring a note.
and not from your mom.
Oh. No?
Unless your mom is the.
Unless your mom, and then maybe they,
All right, but then I know I
Volunteers.
went off on a tangent about volunteers, but the answer is yes. Volunteers, independent contractors who also don't exist, and employees all have to get their vaccines.
Interns?
Yes, interns too.
I love it. See, she's
Aw.
like
She's
making
got
it
everything
fun.
covered.
She's making it fun for us. I love it. Marie, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for being here, but I also want to formally welcome you to the family because I know you're now part of our group, per se, Fun with HR. Yes.
I'm so excited.
Yes, it means we're going to have you here more often, and certainly it means that we get to talk about some of these what most people would consider odd situations, but to you and I probably we deal with it every other day. So welcome.
Thank you. And can I just real quick
Yes.
pick up on about interviewing? So we've been having a hard time hiring, just so you know. Landegger, Verano, and Davis is also hiring legal assistants and paralegals at the moment. So
Atharva can help you with that.
yeah, but
Atharva can help you.
We have offered a job to several people, and then this is what we get. We get,
Uh-huh.
oh, I didn't know I was supposed to start today. I'm sorry, I'll come in tomorrow. And then, oh, I had a death in the family on the second day that they didn't show up to work. And I'm just like, I don't believe you. Sorry. and I am withdrawing the offer. So, yeah, people are just kind of crazy these days when it comes to
Yeah, I
interviewing.
know a good recruiter.
We know definitely a good recruiter.
So Spence
Yeah.
has a question real quick.
Oh, I love
How many churches require vaccines, and who would you go to get your religious exemption?
Who would I
No,
I'm
if a church
vaccinated.
required vaccine,
Oh, if a church, meaning like you work for a church.
then who would you go to for your religious exemption?
Okay, that's you know what
You
it
know
is.
what?
I
We're-
think if it's a bona fide religious institution, like let's just pretend the Catholic Church says you have to be vaccinated. I don't believe that these laws apply to the Catholic Church because they're a bona fide religious institution already.
But if they required it, then you use your religion to get out
You
of the
can't
vax.
get out of it because
cannot.
the religious, the discrimination laws don't apply to a bona fide religious institution. They can do whatever they want. That's why they can say that only men can be priests. They can say that if you get pregnant before marriage, we can fire you. That kind of thing.
Right.
Because they're already a bona fide religious, so they're excluded from the laws.
Get ready to hit the bleep button on Spence here.
Yeah, bleep,
I
bleep.
could,
I know.
I could see his brain's going to blow up.
Wow.
That was wow. My brain hurts.
So one of the things that we're planning on doing with Marie is every so often we have a month with 5 weeks. And we're going to take that 5th week of the month to have Marie in here for the whole hour. But we're going to just do nothing but answer your HR employment law questions. So contact the HR firm through email, info@the HR firm if you have questions for those months. Or we're going to talk to Spence about seeing if we could do some live call-ins that day. Anyway, thank you for coming in today, Marie. We always enjoy having you.
It was great.
Thank you for not making us have to perform for
Happy
the
Mardi
beads.
Gras.
I appreciate that. Fun with HR was brought to you by the professionals at the HR firm in Atharva Workforce. We take care of each other so we can grow together. Until next week, when we will have Bob Davis from the Loan Depot, Rosandra Esquivel from the HR firm, and we're also going to have Annette Garcia with Heart of an Angel to talk about her nonprofit. Have a great week, everybody.
I'm out of time and all I got is 4 minutes. 4 minutes, yeah. I'm out of time and all I got is 4 minutes. 4 minutes, yeah.